to Milky and Rebel. Take it away.
Thank you very much for that, Yulway. Now, we are jumping in for game 2, and Rebel, we do have a Zeri. So, while I want to talk about Zeri, there's something else I want to talk about first, and that's talking about our MVP from game 1, BJ, because in game 1, he played a Lee Sin against Ikigai's Xin Zhao. Here for game 2, the champions have been swapped around, so I want you to explain to me what we can expect from BJ now that he is on the other side of this matchup.
I think this is actually really cool to talk about because now, in the previous game, it felt like there wasn't a bunch of perfect setup for Ikigai. And especially with the amount of skirmish power that was held from Saigon, there was never a position where it was like the Xin Zhao got to one-on-one against the other jungler or got to 2-on-2 against the other jungler. It felt like there were, 3-4 members in every single fight pretty much across the board. So in this game, we're hoping that Ikigai is able to do that. But we're right into the face of Slater to start things off.
Yeah, Taki starts it all off with a dredge line onto Slater, and then everyone just throws out some abilities, some basic attacks, and then they say, okay, guys, we've had our fun, let's go back to playing the game of League.
Yeah, so to return to this, I think importantly for BJ in this game is that the setup isn't quite there across the board. The best place you can go, of course, is alongside Taki. So again, to me, BJ Taki is the combination, or I know our desk talked about the jungle support combination. That's going to be really important because right now, I mean, you're talking Akali has no CC to work with. Corki's got no CC without the package, I guess, but we're not going to count that all that much. So my expectation is that it's likely going to be a little bit more lax of a game from BJ, which opens up for Ikigai to show us what he's capable of doing, because now he's got the flip matchup. He's got good setup in pretty much every single lane to go ganking for. I think this is where really we need to see why Team Flash decided to throw this new jungler in when they kept the remaining players that were rookies from the previous play, in Marcus and in Artie. For some reason, they're not going back to Dante because of what they've seen in Ikigai, and I really hope he shows what he's been able to show at SEA Games, because he had some very solid performances at SEA Games.
I know our analysts were a little bit harsh on Ikigai's performance in game 1, but I thought he played reasonably well. He was shadowing a lot of BJ's ganks and was present in some of those places. In the mid lane, Yoshino has already bullied Froggy out of lane. I think Yoshino's trying to set himself up as the new king of the mid lane in the VCS.
They've let him have Rise twice, which is a little shocking to me. I know there's other champions that potentially you need to ban out, but I feel like this is like the bread and butter Yoshino pick just because of how much it's translated from his top pool into his mid pool very quickly. Looked great on it in the previous game as well. And Froggy has played exactly one game on this. Actually, we get a little bit of skirmish between BJ and Ikigai.
Well, the junglers are duking it out again. Now it's 2-on-1, and Hazmed can't really get into the action. First blood picked up for Ikigai. I guess it wasn't BJ being the better player. It's the matchup all along. Yoshino gets the kill onto Froggy. Taki just can't quite get there in time. Can't quite peel Yoshino away from Froggy. But now the question is, Yoshino, where are you going to go? Because sadly, Hazmed actually can't come down because Marcus has the lane shoved in. So Yoshino will be able to back out safely.
Is the reason why BJ also ends up losing that pure one-on-one up against Ikigai. Lee Sin's already powerful in the early game, but the fact that Marcus got first step towards BJ before Hazmed was really able to insert himself into that fight made it very difficult. Now, Marcus has put himself in this position, which is not a good one, where Hazmed's able to run him down, and there's no flash, and the hook shot's already down as well. Does Hazmed have the damage to wind up this fight?
It's got to be the solo kill. 5-point strike. Hazmed gets the kill. You don't disrespect this man, Zakali.
This is the timing in which Hazmed hopefully can show us what he's able to do in the top lane. We get a review of what happened in this mid lane. Froggy just got kind of pinched against the wall. The nice flash in an attempt to get away, but unfortunately just doesn't have the damage in this early game as the Corki up against Yoshino, who's able to run under the tower, not take any tower aggro, gets away from Taki all in one fell swoop. Again, the mid lane, last game, I don't think it was the pure one-on-one that really cost too much in terms of what Froggy was able to do, but this game already exerting the dominance is Yoshino. Previous game, it had a fantastic global impact, and now in this game, hopefully, you being able to express that inside the laning phase, push the Corki down a little bit in terms of his ability to kind of scale into the later phase if he's got this advantage.
Well, this is a nice wave pushing in towards the Team Flash tower, and Ikigai and Arte just waiting in the river brush, waiting for an opportunity to go in, but Taki will drop down a ward. It'll be instantly cleared by Arte, but the heist is up, the game is up for Team Flash there, and Ikigai's just going to have to walk on over towards the Drake.
It's a situation where Team Flash has actually given themselves a lot better way to try to combat early game, right? Like Ikigai with a lot of gank setup means that you can make an impact across the opposing lane. I know we talked about how bottom side isn't necessarily the greatest of places to end up, especially since like Zeri doesn't really have the pushing power of Shogun in the earlier phases of the laning phase. You can see a bit of actually trading onto Artie, and BJ's here to punish a little further.
Arte is so low, and it's just an easy pickup for the Saigon Buffalo jungler. And now Slater might actually have to be careful here because BJ could look to potentially dive. That being said, BJ is just going to head towards his jungle, pick up his Gromp.
Yeah, it's a place where Saigon is now punished on bottom side. I kind of expect them to do this more because, again, I want to see Taki broken out of bottom lane, but also this is the best place just to gank outright because you've got your Jinx down here. So it's one of the members that you really want to start putting gold into. You're comfortable with Hosmed in the one-on-one against Marcus here on this very comfortable champion of his. It's one of his best. I know our desk talked about that as well. Froggy hopefully is able to neutralize things on the Corki pick where he's just going to be like catching waves and Yashin is going to have more impact. You see that right here where he's going to walk up to BJ. Unfortunately, can't bring down that red ward, but it just doesn't matter that much. So my expectation is that BJ is going to find his way to the bottom side of the map far more often as this game continues. It's an attempt to further put Slater in a bit of a hole, or even better, to try to get Shogun on a bit of a jump here.
And we're actually seeing on the top lane the fact that Husman not too far behind Marcus's Camille in terms of CS, and especially when you consider how weak the Akali is in the first couple of levels. Oh, Taki misses the dredge line. Maybe this could be a window for Artie to look for a counter engage, but decides against it, and the two bottom laners will just stare each other out.
And I'm curious which of these teams believes that they will end up having a bit of an advantage in the later stage of the game when it comes to scaling. Because on one side, it feels like Team Flash has actually taken up more of the mantle of what we saw from Saigon, where their skirmishing and their engage is a lot. They get laid on a lot thicker, right? Because you've got Lee Sin to do it, you've got Camille to be able to do it. Ooh, actually, Ikigai right into the bottom side. They're gonna find a pick.
Yeah, it's just an easy kill onto Taki. Arte with the Zenith Blade, and Ikigai not even needing to use the Dragon's Rage. Just a clean kill for Team Flash as they extend their goal lead a little bit further.
I was going to say, eventually I feel like Saigon's damage with the Corki and the Jinx is going to be high enough to where they should be able to express this range in pretty easy ways, even with all the engage, but they're not even going to let it happen because they're just going to dive immediately onto the bottom lane.
Well, the Spark Surge takes Slade under the tower, and sure, Cleanse can be dropped, but it does not matter. In the end, Arte is the one who secures the kill. And it's just a free kill, and it's going to be a fair few minions denied away from Shogun, and a couple of plates picked up for Slater.
Great beginning in the game here from the side of Team Flash, who were able to come out with what looks like a little bit better of a game plan. Because again, I was expecting for Saigon really heavily to lean towards this bottom side of the map after what we saw just a second ago with BJ, and after the fact that we have more pushing power with this Jinx, and we have to break out Taki to get some impact on the map. But here, I mean, obviously Team Flash, they kind of reverse Uno card them here, and now top lane a little bit more action. Here comes Yashino.
Well, the Hexic ultimatum, perfect execution from Harsmed, gets a 1-for-1, and Yoshino is just there like, come on, dude, come on.
He ends up getting a kill on the back of it, thankfully. But yeah, the trade of kills for Hosmed here in this top lane matchup looking a lot better than what we saw in the previous game. I feel like both top laners had like a good amount of impact that came in from the rest of their team, but we didn't get to see much of the pure one-on-one between the two of them that led to all that much. But in this game, we've already had 2 full-out skirmishes, or 3 full-out skirmishes that have led to kills for one side or the other. So these two top laners definitely pulling a bit more of our attention in this game.
Okay, BJ and Taki. Well, Taki's waiting. Marcus is on his way up. This would be a 2v2 fight for the blue buff, but BJ and Taki are aware that Arte and Yoshino are roaming up from the mid lane, so they decide, you know what, we maybe shouldn't fight over this blue buff.
Interesting. We actually get a full-out swap from coming through from Saigon Buffalo. They decide to throw Shogun into the top side of the map, which is seen outright. They've got the Rift Herald in their back pocket, but they're sitting on a ward right now. And since Marcus is up here, he's got coverage from Artie. They could try to force...
No way! No way that dredge line just landed! Death charge on top. Marcus will fall! Taki, that was the best Nautilus hook I have seen in a long, long time.
The craziest part about this hook is not that it hits, because like it was an incredible hook on its own right. Yeah. I've seen hooks that do the same thing. The more incredible thing is that he's on vision. Yeah. Marcus had full vision of this Nautilus to pull him out of the brush, and he still gets hit in between minions. I'm not really sure how it actually turns out.
Honestly, I'm surprised Marcus hasn't thrown to a pause and asked for a Chrono break and said that Nautilus hitbox. Okay, right, I see what you're doing, but that one's not allowed. Now there's a Rift Herald being dropped in the top lane. Ikigai, Marcus teleporting up as well, but the Herald will charge, will give over Tower Plate Gold onto Shogun and BJ.
Kind of unfortunate. I was hoping they would press a little bit harder to try to get that third plate off the board to make sure that that was in the pockets of Shogun. But they do help recover a bit of gold into this bottom lane, which is helpful. Because again, they're trying to find somebody to put the gold into inside of this game, and Shogun appears to be the person that they're willing to lean towards because Hosbin's been pretty self-reliant in this game, and things have cooled down between mid laners. Obviously, Yoshino's had a better effect, but that was going to happen after the early game that was so disastrous from Froggy. But at least keeping up to some extent in CS as like the 90 at this point. The Corki will eventually scale. It just stays Saigon trying to find ways to attack their side lanes while Froggy just waits for some of the itemization to come through. And thankfully, like Team Flash's responses have been decent as well, right? They're able to snag 2 dragons off the board. Iki guys found a couple of decent plays here and there to be able to reprieve some of the gold. This is a look back at that hook. This is I mean, getting it around that minion was difficult on its own right, but again, even Full saw him. This sets up this play so nicely, too, because if all 3 are here, the defense is there for the tower. They can't really prop down the Rift Herald because they probably end up losing it, or best case scenario, they have to 3-way split that goal between all the members, but instead, because they were able to like get that kill and put it onto Shogun, Shogun gets the kill gold, and he gets all that plate gold from the Rift Herald usage.
And I just want to go back to that play of Taki, because I feel the best way to describe it is it was an optimistic play by Taki, and Marcus literally just put himself on a platter. He stepped around the minion when he knew Taki was in the brush waiting. So I think a bit of a misplay from Marcus there, even if it was an incredible hook from Taki. But Team Flash, they still lead. They've got a 1 kill advantage. They've got 2 Drakes to nothing, and they've got a 1k goalie. So they are still in command of this game. But we have spoken about the scaling aspect of Saigon Buffalo. There's Akali, the Jinx, the Corki, all going to be monsters in the late game or in the late game.
My biggest question, I think, eventually comes down to how much Hosmet is going to be able to hunt the Zeri, because I think that's really the one responsibility for Hosmet in this game. And especially with Artie sitting around, I feel like Hosmet is making the right decision and not going for Tank Akali, because I think if we're still on 12-2, they were still playing that champion pretty heavily, and even now, the champion is still usable when it comes to that build path. But in this case, having more of the AP and having more of the assassin-type build to come out from Hosmet makes, I think, a fair amount more sense against a champion like Zeri with the mobility that she's got, with everything that you need. You need to be able to put her down in a very swift to one clean cut type motion, which is what Hosmet's going to be going for. And especially after the laning phase we've seen, feels like Marcus really is kind of out of it, not really going to be able to compete too much against Hosmet's Akali in the later stage. They continue to lean against this off the other side of the map.
BJ's back just a little bit too early, and now it's a 3v2 in favor of a Team of Flash. 1 kill goes their way, and make it a double kill for Slader on this Zeri. And going to what you were talking about the later stages of this game, Saigon Buffalo will be wanting to get on top of Slader, and they've got a few tools to do so. They've got the Hextech Ultimatum, they've got the Leona, they've got the Dragon's Rage on this Lee Sin. But for me, who are you actually looking to focus down, lock down, kick away? Is it Hosmet on the Akali? Is it Froggy? Maybe Shogun?
When it comes for the full engagement, the best thing that you've got is to be able to kick back Taki into the rest of the team, because that's going to be the person sitting in front. You can see a situation here where he's trying to stand out in front of his ADC, but unfortunately can't really accomplish that feat. So to me, I think that's the best way to set up a team fight, is if you're able to kick one of the 2 frontliners, whether it's BJ or Taki, into one of the backliners like Froggy or Shogun, because that's how you're going to be able to set up more of the rest of the play. That's when Marcus can go in, that's when Yoshino can go in, that's when Artie can go in with more AoE type damage and bring down multiple members in one fell swoop. That's even where like Zeri can jump in, and all of a sudden, with the Trinity Force, with the Titanic Hydra, with like the ultimate coming in as well, all of that damage really starts to add together for the side of Team Flash, and it makes it so difficult for Saigon to respond to it, because it's such a quick, snappy thing. If you get kicked into your enemies as either BJ or Taki, and then you get CC layered right back on top of you, you basically die without having an impact in a fight.
Also just noticing Taki opting towards the Merc Treads, trying to deny some of the damage away from Yoshino, but I think more specifically try to reduce the length of the crowd control that Arte and maybe even Marcus have, that they could be dropping on top of the Saigon Buffalo support.
definitely possible. I'm looking at Saigon also lean towards this Rift Herald very heavily. They're trying to pull back gold to the best of their abilities. They've got the package from Froggy, so this is a pretty decent cutoff angle. So I think they're willing to take this fight just because they've got that tool in their back pocket.
Soulflare has been used and will find nothing. Hasmed locked it down on the top of your screen. Almost gets the kill. Tower shot coming in is huge. Arte low. Taki will fall as soon as he comes out of the stasis. Rift Tower has been secured, but Shogun has fallen, and this fight is all going the way of a team of Flash. Sure, Saigon Buffalo get the Rift Herald, but they get nothing more. Slater flashing forward, looking for the play onto Froggy. Going under tower as well, and it forces a flash out of Froggy too. And overall, it's 4 kills for 1. Hasmed dying in the top lane. I think the Ignite picking up the kill for Marcus.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what it did, because I thought the Ignite had actually fallen off, and I don't know what little bit of tick damage ended up doing it, but Hasmed taking that last tower shot was more than enough damage to bring him down, and the rest of the fight kind of went disastrously. They don't really have much else in the way of gold to be able to compete in that 4-on-4 against Saigon or against Team Flash, and that means that Team Flash kind of walk out in a winning situation. Is not only do they get a big team fight win here off the back of the start of Artie, and then also Ikigai being able to get in and get some action, being able to kick back members. You can see Froggy basically gets dislodged from this fight. The front line starts going down. Shogun can't really step up into Slater and Yashino because there's just too much damage, and no one's there to replace him. So yes, Rift Herald goes the way of Saigon, but Team Flash gets not only the team fight win, they end up pulling the Dragon, and this means that your team that has this big team fighting advantage when it comes to like the engage, they've got gold in the right places when it comes to your damage, and they're going to be able to force for like a soul point. I mean, all of a sudden, Team Flash is looking great in this game.
Well, they do find themselves with a 6,000 gold lead over Saigon Buffalo, and they have played proactively this game. Saigon Buffalo looking for these fights, starting up these fights. Don't forget, it was Taki's Dredge line that started off that last fight, and well, Saigon Buffalo not strong enough. A 6-0 Zeri for Slater. Surely right now, Saigon Buffalo just have to play, okay, we're sitting back, we're going to turtle, we're going to scale, we're going to get strong, and then we'll fight.
This game has felt much better from Team Flash because they've actually done things early to start setting up their members into the right place. Like in the previous game, it felt like Yashino was really the only one that was accomplishing pretty much across the map. Yeah. Like Marcus was taking a bunch of early game damage, a bunch of early game ganks from the enemy team. That's caused quite a bit. Actually, Taki looking for an engagement in the mid lane.
It's a beautiful engager from Taki, and it's a clean shutdown onto Slater. They look for Artie as well. Artie will go gold, and do Saigon Buffalo look for more. Marcus, a body blocking the damage, doesn't land the hook shot onto the tower to escape, but it doesn't matter. He can walk out anyway. Now the Rift Herald has been dropped down. This is a huge pick for Saigon Buffalo, and I brought up the question, do they sit back? Do they turtle and scale? Well, no, they're going to find a pick. They're going to get a shutdown gold. They're going to get an outer tower, and now they're just going to keep on pushing down the mid lane.
Oh, Yasho can't even find a really big pick here. Instead, has to go back behind the tower. And that's going to give him 2 full objective bounties, as well as the towers in their back pocket and the shutdown onto Slater. It's a massive gold shift. This was 7,000 gold just moments ago, and it's been cut down to only 2.5 after just this one play. Saigon, again, one thing you cannot deny them for in this game, or at least this series, is that they haven't looked like they've been lost. Their divisiveness has definitely improved from what was the winter split, which seemed to be a weak point for them. So I have to give them a lot of really, really big props for being able to figure out that position. This game still is very rough for them because, again, there's so much engage, so much damage in the opposition. But right there, plays like that still give me hope that they understand what they're doing. They're still trying to work towards a win condition.
This is the VCS. Nothing is ever as it seems, and the game is never over until the fat lady sings. And sure, while Slater was a little bit fed and may have been a little bit fat, that was screaming of pain. Not quite singing just yet. However, Team Flash, as always, they lose something, they try to get something else, and now they're looking towards the top inner tower. They will be able to secure it as Slater drops down the ultimate, but I don't think we'll be able to make much out of this play, as Taki dredge lines to the inhibitor tower and out to safety, but that's an ult down for Team Flash.
Able to deny a fair amount, and it's good being able to actually kind of continue to push up these towers, especially on the Baron side, because this is where Team Flash, I think, they're really going to be able to find their marks. Before Froggy ends up getting on the 3rd item, right now he just finished the 2nd, so he's got the Ludens completed. The poke isn't still quite there, especially because Hasmed also only on 1.5 items right now, comparatively to anybody else in the other team, where you're on like 2-3 item mark is starting to get encroached upon for Zeri, and that means that team fighting for Team Flash is great. So if they're able to kind of leverage that into a Baron take, They're going to use that to snag soul points. There's plenty of things to actually accomplish. They find another bit of play onto Artie.
Good solar flare being knocked down, and Shogun is delivered into the team, but Shogun is still alive. Shogun is still shooting. He's in the Hextech ultimatum. He will fall eventually. Harsmed into the back line, gets the kill. However, Harsmed now in a tricky situation and will be taken down after he gets a kill on to the Zeri. Burst fire being dropped down onto BJ. Another kill for Team Flash. Taki trying to dredge line his way out to safety, but Slater trying to close it in. A good phosphorus bomb from Froggy, and Taki will just have to sacrifice his life. Yoshino on a bit of a hunt, but a blast cone should be enough to take Froggy out to safety. Look at that movement speed for the Rise, but Froggy is out to safety.
Yes, this does open up in 36 seconds what will be a redeploy from Team Flash that should set them up for a Cloud Soul. It's got a ton of just immediate value for a team like this. Wait, what happened? The rocket! No way! Shogun found Zeri!
That's massive.
That's huge! That means they can shut out Soul Point. I mean, I was about to say, like, Cloud Soul gives you a bunch of flat stats that are going to be super useful, especially for, like, the Zeri, who already is impossible to lock down, and this team doesn't have the greatest kind of point-and-click CC outside of, like, Taki's ultimate, but that pushes them out. That might deny this.
However, Shogun trying to rush his way to the Drake gets caught out. Good setup from Team Flash, but Saigon Buffalo aren't done yet. They say, okay, you kill our ADC, we will get vengeance. They force Team Flash out of the river. Could they look to rush down the Drake? Slater is already back up. Artie now coming in on the flank as Yoshino is trying to back away. Dredgeline somehow doesn't land onto Artie, but the Solar Flare does. So does the Zenith Blade, but there is no follow-up from the side of Team Flash, and Artie will get taken down. And the rest of the members of Team Flash in a bit of a sticky situation. But look at Slater, slowly making his way in. Has the Lightning Crash available. Both junglers up and alive as well.
The loss of Shogun right there was also equally massive for the side of Team Flash, just because they were able to get their way into the pit. And because Yoshino can teleport back, that means he gets a full reset. It's a 4-on-4, but the ADC is available for Team Flash. It makes it so much harder for Saigon to accomplish anything since Harsmed's ult is down.
Here we go then. The Drake has been secured by Team Flash. Hextech Ultimatum will lock it down. BJ. Shogun will be here in a few seconds' time. Marcus is already practically dead and out of this fight. BJ and Harsmed tanking up as much damage as they can. But Shogun is now here. Artie making his way in through the bottom lane, but he's going to take a while yet. Taki locking down Slater, and Slater will fall. The Zeri is out. Zap onto Yoshino. Yoshino goes golden. He's going to be able to find one kill, but he'll come out of things. He'll die, but he's able to get the one kill onto Froggy before he falls. There's a triple kill for Yoshino, but he is now dead. Ikigai still alive. Artie here. Teleport coming through. Shogun on the run, and his Team Flash who come out of the fight on top. How? I don't know. Shogun with nowhere to go. Shogun will be sent back to the base. Tries to throw out the rockets. Tries to get the kill onto Ikigai, but is unsuccessful. And it is Team Flash who get the ace for 2. Team Flash can turn towards the Baron Nashor.
Team Flash are able to buy so much time. The kill onto Zeri was massive for Saigon Buffalo, because I thought that meant they were going to be able to capture the river, be able to capture pretty much anything they want. But unfortunately, the loss of Shogun, because he gets too antsy, ends up costing them, and then they can't capitalize fast enough. They were probably looking to go for a full 4-on-4 engagement before a 4-on-3, 3-on-3, whatever the situation was, for Saigon to be able to force into Team Flash to look to win that. But unfortunately, it's just not enough. Now, BJ does make it back quick enough. Marcus is going to try to keep him out of the pit, but the reinforcements are here for Saigon Buffalo. They might be able to stall this Baron.
BJ is so incredibly low, but Marcus has already been taken down, and now it would be a 4-on-4. And Team Flash are forced away from the Baron, and Saigon Buffalo are going to say, no, we don't want to let the Baron reset. We want to start it ourselves, but Baron doesn't care. Baron resets nonetheless. Saigon Buffalo could start it anyway. Marcus is down. No teleport available. All the members of Saigon Buffalo are alive, but the lockdown is dropped onto the Taki. He'll use the dredge line, able to get out. Blast Cone from Slater, taking him in. Super Mega Death Rocket. Artie able to sidestep it at the last second. Now Harsmed going in, looking for Ikigai, but your focus needs to be on Slater. It needs to be on Yoshino. Saigon Buffalo back away from the Nashor, and neither team will be able to pick up the objective.
It's such a close game right now between the two of these teams, because there's so much pick potential on either side. There's a good amount of range on Saigon versus the amount of ability to engage here. This is all the way back. I love this replay. Thank you so much. I've had my criticisms of replays, but this is about as good as one as you could ever ask for, because that's the rocket on Zeri that set this whole last 3 minutes up. That was a play that I thought Saigon was going to be able to leverage into a much better situation. They've been able to keep the gold lead down to 3.3 thousand. Right now, Team Flash is looking for a way to kind of put themselves in a position where they completely control Elder Drake. 3 minutes from now, this game starts to get way more interesting because of what happens. Taki, though, way out of
Well, the
position.
lightning crash has already been dropped down, and Slater has the attack speed, gets the kill onto Taki, jumping over the wall. Now looks for BJ. You talked about the Elder. We might even not get that because Team Flash have already found 2 kills. They look for Froggy. He's able to Valkyrie his way out to safety, but Shogun's on the wrong side of the map, and Shogun will get taken down. Ikigai picks up the kill. It's now a 5v2. Team Flash don't look to end. Instead, they will turn towards the Baron. They don't think they can end just yet. And we talked about Saigon Buffalo scaling. You brought up the fact of the Elder Rebel. And there's not much time left for Saigon to scale because they need to win a fight and they need to win it soon.
This is disastrous. This is a setup where Team Flash, they get not only multiple kills and multiple picks, but the Baron buff is humongous. 2.5 minutes out from this Elder Drake spawning means it's going to be near impossible for Saigon Buffalo to push out their mid lane and their bot lane to be able to contest. You can see Hosmet's trying to get a jump on that right now to the best of his extent, but it's just not going to be enough because 2 minutes here, that's going to be more than enough time for Team Flash to push down mid, probably get mid inner or bottom inner from the side of Saigon before just doubling back and going to the Elder Dragon and then making a massive base push all together is one. It's going to be all that is necessary for the side of Team Flash if they're able to operate on it. Somehow Saigon need to jump that timer. They need to find a way to get 2 members down on the side of Team Flash so that they can contest the Elder Drake so that they've got control of that pit in only 1.5 minutes time. I don't know how they're going to do it. It's got to be Taki Hook. It's got to be Hosmet finding an individual outplay because if it's not one of those things, Team Flash walks out and we go to a game 3.
Game 3 on the horizon for the team that only won a single series last split. What a turnaround in performance for both Saigon Buffalo and Team Flash. They have looked so much better than they did just a few months ago. Maybe, dare I say, Team Flash could even be seeing playoffs. And here is how this previous fight all kicked off.
Big engagement from Slater combined with more movement again from Ikigai, who was able to find a nice angle right here. They force their way onto BJ. Honestly, this entire play doesn't even matter. As long as BJ is able to go down during the course of this, they just get the jungler and the Baron buff sets up the rest of this play. The fact that they got Taki and Shogun on top of it was just, it's kind of icing on the cake at that point for the side of Team Flash. But you can see that they're using this Baron buff to the best of its abilities. They already cracked both inner towers, and now they're working towards inhibitor towers, only 50 seconds out from the next dragon, which of course is that Elder Drake that's going to be so impactful. This is where Saigon could try to find something. They got a package from Froggy. Can they get a fight?
Saigon Buffalo don't back down from the fight, but Taki is already down. The package has been dropped, but Froggy is down as well. Everyone from Saigon Buffalo is dropping like flies. BJ will fall as well. It's a 3v1. Hosman with a hero play. What can he do? He wants to get Yoshino. Perfect execution, but it doesn't have the damage. He goes golden, and he's still 3-on-1. Hook shot in. Hosman locked down. Hosman trying to get away. Sonic Wave resonating. Strike picks up the kill. Yoshino backs. Teleports back in. Team Flash with 3 members alive, with the 2 Baron-empowered waves are crashing onto the Nexus towers, and with a few more seconds for the Saigon Buffalo members to respawn, they won't respawn in time, and Team Flash will take us to our first Game 3 of the split.
Off the back of a couple